After months of trying, my wife was finally pregnant. We told no one, except my sister, who lives next door. A day later, our neighbor stopped us in the driveway and said, "I heard congratulations are in order. Don't worry, I'll raise it right if you two can't." We were horrified. Then my sister came over crying. She'd confided in the neighbor, thinking it would be good for community support. That night, someone slipped a baby onesie under our door that read, "Property of the Johnsons next door." I thought it was just creepy. Until I saw them trying to register the baby shower in our name. I'm 38. My name's James. My wife, Rachel, is 35. We live in Madison, Wisconsin. We've been married 7 years. We've wanted a kid for almost 5 of them. Tried everything. Specialists. Pills. Diets. IVF. It took a toll on our bodies, our marriage, our mental health. There were nights Rachel cried so hard I had to sit with her in the shower and just hold her while the water ran cold. But finally it happened. She was pregnant. I still remember that morning. I was in the kitchen when she came out holding the test. Her hands were shaking. She couldn't even speak. She just nodded. I grabbed her and we cried. We decided not to tell anyone. Not yet. We'd waited too long and had too many disappointments to jinx it. But one person noticed. Allison. She's my sister. She lives next door, literally. Her place is maybe 20 feet from ours. We bought the 2 houses at the same time 5 years ago after her divorce. She's 40, works as a nurse, lives alone with her dog Murphy. We've always been close. She's been through a lot, and I've always tried to be there for her. That's probably why I told her. She noticed Rachel wasn't walking in the mornings anymore. Asked if she was sick. I tried brushing it off, but Allison kept pressing. Finally, I told her. Just her. I said we were pregnant, but it was early. We weren't ready to tell the world yet. I asked her to keep it quiet. She hugged me and cried. Told me how happy she was. Swore she wouldn't tell a soul. That was a Tuesday. On Wednesday morning, Rachel and I were getting into the car when Mark Johnson walked over. He lives on the other side of Allison. Mid-40s. Looks like a guy who peaked in high school. Always acts like he knows everything. Married to Cindy. She's the real piece of work, fake friendly online, cold and smug in person. Mark smiled like we were old friends. Hey! Heard congratulations are in order. Rachel looked confused. What? He pointed at her stomach, then winked. Don't worry, if you two can't handle it, I'll raise it right. I asked him who told him. He just laughed and said, News travels fast in a tight neighborhood. We didn't respond. Just got in the car and drove. That night, Allison came over crying. I mean really crying. Snot, shaking hands, the whole thing. She sat on our couch and admitted she told Cindy. She said she thought it would be a nice thing. That having people around us who knew would make us feel supported. Rachel didn't say a word. She got up and went to the bedroom. I just stared at my sister. You had one job. Allison begged me not to be mad. Said she didn't think it would turn into anything weird. But it did. The next night, around 9 p.m., I heard a light knock. I opened the front door and saw a small package on the mat. No name. No return address. Inside was a white baby onesie. Size newborn. On the front, in black print, it said, Property of the Johnsons next door. I showed it to Rachel. She sat down and didn't speak for a full 10 minutes. Just stared at the floor like she was trying to hold herself together. I wanted to believe it was just a creepy joke. But it wasn't. 2 days later, Rachel burst into my home office. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. Her phone was shaking in her hand. They made a baby shower event, she said. They used our names. What do you mean? They made a Facebook event. Baby Johnson, welcoming party for our newest addition. It says it's for our baby. But they called it Baby Johnson. And they're inviting people. She showed me. There it was. A public Facebook event. The Johnsons had uploaded a photo of a baby ultrasound, not ours, but one from Google, I'm guessing. Then a photo of me and Rachel from a barbecue last summer. And underneath it said, Join us in celebrating the upcoming arrival of Baby Johnson, due this year to our beloved neighbors James and Rachel. Let's shower this little one with love. They used our baby to throw a party, for themselves. That's when the anger started boiling. I didn't know how deep this would go. Not yet. But I was about to find out just how far the Johnsons, and maybe even Allison, were willing to go to claim a child that wasn't theirs. I reported the Facebook event. Within an hour, it was gone. But not before I took screenshots, Every word, every guest, every comment. People had already RSVP'd. Some even tagged us in their replies. Things like, "So happy for you both," and "The Johnsons are going to be the best backup grandparents." Backup grandparents? What the hell does that mean? Rachel was done being quiet. She marched next door to Allison's that night. I followed. Allison opened the door looking like she hadn't slept. Her eyes were puffy. She glanced at Rachel and said, "I'm sorry." But Rachel wasn't there for an apology. "Did you tell Cindy we didn't want this public?" she asked. Allison nodded, mumbling, "I did." "Then why the hell did they throw a baby shower online using our names?" Allison broke down again. "I think they misunderstood. I just said you were pregnant and asked if she'd keep it quiet." She got excited. She said this neighborhood needed a community baby again. I didn't know she'd do this. A community baby? Rachel turned and walked out. I stayed. I stared Allison down. "They said they'd raise it if we couldn't. They left a onesie on our porch like they own our kid. This isn't excitement. This is sick." She nodded. "I know. I messed up." When I got home, Rachel was in the nursery we hadn't finished. She sat in the corner, arms wrapped around her belly. "They're not done," she whispered. She was right. 2 days later, Rachel's OB/GYN office called to confirm a request. I answered. "Hi, we received a call from a Cindy Johnson confirming an ultrasound appointment for your wife. Is she cleared to share that info with your secondary care provider?" I nearly dropped the phone. "No. Absolutely not. Cancel that. Put a block on the account." Rachel went white when I told her. "She's trying to get into my records?" she said. "What the hell is she doing?" The next day we got a letter in the mail. No stamp. Just hand-delivered. Inside was a flyer for a welcome baby gathering scheduled at a local park. It listed Rachel's name. Mine. A fake due date. And at the bottom, hosted with love by Cindy and Mark Johnson, proud neighbors and supporters of family unity. That was it. I called a lawyer. I didn't even know what I was asking for at that point. Maybe a cease and desist? A restraining order? But the lawyer told us something that shook me deeper. If they're pretending they're involved in the pregnancy, they could eventually argue for guardianship if something happened to you. It's rare, but it's happened. That night, I installed security cameras. I put locks on our mailbox. We changed Rachel's medical access codes. I even filed a report with the police, who took it under consideration, but didn't do much. And then Rachel found something that made her scream. On Cindy's Pinterest account, public, because she's careless, was a board titled, "Nursery Inspiration for Baby J." It had color palettes, crib designs, and a photo of our house. Not theirs. Ours. The caption read, "If we're lucky, this will be home someday." I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch with a baseball bat in my lap and waited for anything to move. And then the final straw broke. A week passed. Things were quiet. Too quiet. Rachel started to relax a little. She went back to doing yoga in the mornings. I tried to act like everything was normal, too, but every sound outside made me tense. Every time a car slowed in front of our house, I checked the camera. Then the mail came. This wasn't junk. It wasn't a baby magazine. It was a legal-looking envelope. Addressed to me and Rachel. Inside, a petition for guardianship intent. Filed by Mark and Cindy Johnson. I stared at it for a long time before handing it to Rachel. She read it in silence. Then she sat down and whispered, "Are we in a nightmare?" The document said they were. Preparing to offer guardianship support should complications arise with the biological parents. It used weird phrases like emotional instability observed and unsafe household indicators. I showed it to our lawyer. He was stunned. "They're setting up a paper trail," he said. "They're trying to build a case, now or later, to take your child. They don't even know the baby." I said. "They're acting like they do." He helped us file a legal response immediately. We also requested a temporary protective order. It was denied, judged too early, too speculative. Meanwhile, Rachel was having trouble sleeping. Her blood pressure went up. Our doctor warned us she was at risk if the stress didn't come down. That's when I made a decision. I went to talk to Cindy myself. She answered her door wearing an apron, like she'd been baking. I didn't even say hello. "You need to back off. This is your last warning." She smiled like she was watching a kid throw a tantrum. "You're under a lot of pressure, James. I get it. But you're making this harder than it needs to be. We're all in this together. We're not in this together. You don't get to claim our baby. You don't get to name it. You don't get to plan baby showers for it. You're done. She sighed. You'll come around. A child needs a village. We are that village. You're just scared because you don't know what's coming. Before I could answer, Mark appeared behind her. You should leave, he said flatly. I walked off, but I left my phone recording in my pocket. I had audio. I saved it. 2 nights later, our Ring camera caught movement around midnight. I checked the app. Cindy was standing at our front door. She didn't knock. She just stood there, holding something. Then she slipped it under the door again. Another onesie. This one said, Future Johnson heir. I sent the footage straight to our lawyer. Then I called the cops again. This time, with evidence. They finally opened a case. But it was too late for peace. The Johnsons had crossed the line. And that's when Rachel started bleeding. Rachel was rushed to the ER. She was 18 weeks. The bleeding wasn't normal. The stress had hit her body hard. I sat in that waiting room, fists clenched, staring at the floor like it had answers. She was stabilized. The baby was okay, for now. But the doctor was clear. If the stress continues, you're putting both of you at serious risk. I knew what that meant. The Johnsons weren't just annoying neighbors anymore. They were a danger. So I made a mistake. I confronted Mark. Not with words this time. With fists. I waited until he came home from work, then met him on his driveway. I didn't even speak, I just punched him. He stumbled back, yelling, grabbing his face. I said, You try anything else, and I'll make sure you can't speak another word. He threatened to call the police. I told him to go ahead. He didn't. But Cindy had a new move. She filed a report saying we were harassing her. Said we were unstable. That she feared for the baby's safety. The police came again. Asked us questions. We showed them the footage. The onesies. The flyer. The medical record attempt. Their tone changed. Then Allison did something I didn't expect. She showed up on our porch, crying again, but this time holding her phone. I didn't know it would go this far, she said. But I've been recording Cindy. Just in case. I thought maybe I was wrong, but now. She played me a voice memo. It was Cindy. Talking to someone else on speaker. Bragging. If they freak out enough, they'll mess up. I've already started planting doubt in the community group. Once they look unstable, we have a real case. I mean, Rachel doesn't even talk to her own mom. That tells you something, doesn't it? I froze. Allison had the time, date, full conversation. She said she had others too. I took it all, every file, every clip. And handed it to our lawyer. That's when the real fallout started. Within a week, we had a court order keeping the Johnsons off our property. A judge ruled them a potential threat to maternal safety. They were ordered to stay at least 200 feet away from us and cease all contact. Cindy tried to appeal. Claimed she was just overenthusiastic. That it was all a misunderstanding. But the audio didn't lie. Her words about building a false case, the onesies, the doctor's office call. It was too much. And then came the final blow. My lawyer had one last idea. We sent a formal letter to every guest who'd RSVP to that fake baby shower. Told them what really happened. Attached police report numbers. Names. The truth. The Johnsons became pariahs. Local school parents stopped talking to them. Their kids got dirty looks in the grocery store. Mark lost his job at the HVAC company. Turns out, people don't want a guy who stalks pregnant women installing their home vents. But it didn't stop there. CPS opened a file on them. Just to be safe. Cindy started locking herself inside. Mark started drinking more. We saw the arguments through their windows. One night they put a for sale sign on their lawn. They were gone by the end of the month. But it wasn't a clean win. Rachel never fully trusted people again. She stopped using social media. She gave birth to our daughter in a private birthing center. No guests. No photos online. Nothing. I made my mistakes. I trusted my sister too easily. I lost control and hit a man when I shouldn't have. Allison paid her price too. She moved a few months later. Said she couldn't face us every day knowing what her words started, even if she tried to make up for it. But our daughter was born safe. Healthy. With her mother's eyes and my stubborn frown. We named her Ivy. And if anyone ever tries to take her from us again, I won't wait for paperwork. This time, I'll end it before it begins.